WRC Social Media. The indigenous Moors of Morocco are standing within the Empire of Morocco? Google the famous ICJ case of France v. USA protections in Morocco. The Moors were not found in America, the Moors were already here. They did not land on Plymouth Rock, the so-called Americans landed on the Empire of Morocco. The United States of America is void of government, it does not have three branches of government. Instead, the United States is an intergovernmental organization. The United States of America back in 1786 signed a treaty with the Sultan of Morocco, renewing it 50 years later, which is still in force and effect. Called the Treaty of Peace and Friendship. Google Barbary Treaties. The so-called Americans were actually expatriates of Great Britain that left one monarchy, Great Britain, seeking protections from another, the Sultan of Morocco. The Sultan gave them permission to call themselves the Americans. In 1881 the Moors were naturalized citizens. Many thought it was to eliminate slavery, when in actuality it was to force all Moors to fall up under their protections. This not only happened in the West, it also happened in Europe, anywhere the most favored nations were, also known as the Christian powers. The so-called protections granted to the adopted Moors required they now adhere to the Americans' civil and criminal courts. The Naturalization Act of 1870 and the Act of Congress in 1871 is what allowed them to enforce the Christian Black Codes, prohibiting slaves from carrying weapons, reading, owning land, forcing children to be born into slavery. The North Carolina Code, Willie Lynch Letter, the Break Up the Family, forcing women to be the head of house, not allowing men to gain stature or wealth. Redlining, forcing Moors to live only in impoverished communities, housing covenants, unfair lending housing acts, and more recognized atrocities such as the pipeline to prison. What is the result? There are more Moorish subjects in prison than in college. Unfair and biased sentencing. An intergovernmental organization such as the United States cannot hold a population, therefore the American citizens are all naturalized people in a foreign land. The jurisdiction of the United States in international law is recognized as foreign land. Colonizers did not find lost people in a lost land. And not all Moors came from Africa on slave ships. They found Moors were here for centuries before the arrival of the Americans. Moors who identify as black, it's okay that you find motivation to gather on the last Thursday of every year in November. But we at the WRC are working every day to rebuild our families, to uplift fallen humanity through decolonization, correcting our status as the true sovereign people of the land. So if you wish us a happy Thanksgiving, we kindly ask you to reflect on what the definition of genocide means and how it applies to the Moroccan people. The Moors have been written out of history intentionally, so that we the Moors are unable to enforce the treaties which recognizes the Moors as the landlords, and the Americans as the tenants. Study the Act of Algeçiras of 1906. Why would anyone think one race of people can take another's land, kill the people, and steal for the purpose of expansion, colonization, or religion? So today, we ask that you take the time to read a treaty, and study what decolonization means for the true indigenous people of the Empire of Morocco. Moors are uniting all over the world to claim their sovereignty and independence, their integrity of domain, and to gain economic liberty without any inequality. 80+ states have decolonized, including all of Africa. Moors are the indigenous people of the continents and of all the islands. Plus, who are Moors? Africans are Moors. Indians are Moors. Filipinos are Moors. Puerto Ricans are Moors. Haitians are Moors. Jamaicans are Moors. Dominicans are Moors. Palauan people are Moors. Mauritius people are Moors. Ghanaians are Moors. Indonesians are Moors, and the list goes on. And black people are Moorish subjects. We are in various stages of advancement. The psychology and studies of history are important to combine as we build our erudition based on well-settled principles of international law. To this date, 7 states have taken the necessary steps to decolonize. AMPAC, AMPENM, AMPAG, AMSA, AMPAM, DMT, SSRM. 12 to 15 other political groups are forming. AMAPNI, New York, NA, Florida, ISR, Alini State Republic, RTA, Arkansas, VC, Vita, California Ampa, Ontario, Rome, Mass, Ampere, Rhode Island Ampan, Nevada, Alabama, Alabama, Ohio, Ohio, Washington. We encourage Moors to reach out to the WRC to find out more about the decolonization strategies for your colonial state. Please follow us on social media and watch the AMPAC Study Sessions. Search AMPAC Study Sessions. AMPAC Study Sessions provides an in-depth, educational platform on how the Moors lost their land and how they are uniting to get it back. Through the pen. Hakeem Bey. Thanksgiving Day, a celebration of genocide by European colonialists. The first Thanksgiving story emphasizes a peaceful exchange between the Pilgrims and Wampanoag, yet seldom includes a Native American perspective. It also rarely acknowledges that peace was short-lived. Within a generation, war would erupt and the Wampanoag would ultimately lose their political independence and much of their territory. This is one of the reasons why Thanksgiving for some Native Americans is not a celebration, but a painful reminder of the devastating impact of European colonization on indigenous people. Source: Black Friday, the commercialization of a day of mourning by greedy capitalist. President Barack Obama signs the Native American Heritage Day Resolution 2009, designating the Friday after Thanksgiving as Native American Heritage Day. The resolution had unanimous support in the U.S. House of Representatives and Senate. Source: Though well-intended, this resolution does little to erase the memory of the genocide committed against indigenous people by European colonizers. The annual celebration of the prelude to this tragedy and the commercialization of the Day of Mourning are somber reminders of how little the United States and its citizens care about the suffering of indigenous people.